All right, so let's talk about lexical this. On Monday, we explain what lexical this is, how it works, the differences of dealing with lexical this when we play with a classic function versus arrow functions, all the things, right? So if you want to rewatch this session later on, make sure you first of all rewatch the other one first, yeah, because this is a follow-up, yeah. So if the basics of lexical this aren't clear, this is gonna be just worse. Yeah? So first things first. All right, so I got the basic snippet here with some objects and some console logs and everything. I got some commented stuff at the bottom because I want to discover the behavior of my algorithm step by step. So first of all, I got one console log on line number 10. So now, can anyone tell me what that console log is going to print? Welcome to JS Beginner. All right, JS Beginner, easy peasy, right? Because we got two arguments, we received them, we display them. And then Lauren, you said Peter. Why Peter? That's correct. That's correct. Who is calling get welcome? User one. Then this points to user one. In other words, this.name is the same as user1.name. That's Peter. Yeah? If we run it, welcome to JavaScript beginner, Peter. Any questions? No? Cool. All right. So that's essentially what we did on Monday, right? And now let's have a look to the second use case scenario. Look, user1.getWelcome, that's the same. Yeah, that's the same. However, hey, where are my parentheses? We are not invoking the function in a classic way with opening and closing parentheses. We are using something called .call. All right, all right, all right. So that deserves some explanation. So first of all, what type of data get welcome is? It's a function, correct? But look, even though it's a function, we are using the dot notation here, regardless of what that means. Even if we have no idea what the rest of the line implies, we are using get welcome as it was an object. Can anyone tell me how is that magic possible? That's correct, Elena. That's correct. Get welcome is a function. So there is something called the function prototype. You remember, guys, prototype and inheritance? And that function prototype has some interesting methods. One of them is called call, C-A-L-L. Okay? So now, what is call doing? Call represents a different way of calling functions. That's why it's called call and not Jeremy Corbyn, right? So in the classic way, we do user1.getWelcome, parentheses, and then the arguments. We can imitate the same behavior, more or less, by using call. With call, you got the arguments, yeah? One argument, the second argument. However, the main difference is here. We can pass something else as the first argument. Can anyone tell me what that argument represents? That's correct. That's correct. So with call, we can overwrite the default value of lexical this. Yeah. So by default, on line number 10, lexical this refers to user one because that's the object that called the function. In here, it's looking the same. So if I just pay attention to the highlighted code, user1.getWelcome, I may think that lexical this will point to user2, but suddenly, because we are using call, we are replacing the value of lexical this. So, long story short, can anyone apart from Lauren tell me what line number 11 is going to return? Yeah, but what's the message, Elijah? Welcome to JS Beginner. Why welcome to JS Beginner, Elijah? Why JS and not Python or Java or HTML? Elijah? But Elijah, look, line number 10 is commented, so that's not gonna run. This is like literally doing that, right? So why do you think it's gonna display welcome to JS Beginner? Can anyone help Elijah? That's interesting. That's correct, Elijah. Welcome to React. Yeah. The way that works is call that function, get welcome. Here's the function. And then, first of all, the new lexical this will be user2. So any reference to this.name will be translated into user2.name. Yeah. And then we pass the arguments. React will be the language. Intermediate will be the difficulty level. So if we run it, that's going to display welcome to React Intermediate and. Yeah? You see, guys, that's the way we can replace the value of lexical this. Yeah. Many companies ask that questions during the job interview. Yeah. What's the difference between call, apply, and bind? That's a super typical job interview question. So here you got the first one. Yeah. With call, you can call the function passing a new lexical this. Yeah. Any questions? All right. So interesting. So what Elena wants to do is console.log user2.get welcome and then React and intermediate. So now the question is, can anyone tell me what line number 11 is going to return? That's correct. So then what? Lauren, what's that going to return? Interesting. Wait a minute. So Lauren said, welcome to React Intermediate Peter. Who else wants to participate in that question? Elena said that's gonna display undefined. Right? Who else? I'll tell you something. Lauren and Elena are the only two that got points this week. And they are wrong. They are massively wrong here. But why they got points? Because they try. If you don't try, you'll never get points. It's like playing football, guys. If you don't shoot the ball, you'll never score goals, right? So that's pretty much the same thing. So, yeah, try Elijah. All right, so now, look, line number 11. What's that going to return? What else? And, okay. Who else is around? We got Max, Maxim, and that's it. All right. Maxim, do you have any thoughts? All right, so you agree with Lauren. All right, interesting. Interesting. So you are all wrong. You are all massively, massively, massively wrong, right? And that means you don't get the job in this occasion. And the reason is, guys, user2. Where is user2? Here. Calling user2.getWelcome is the same as calling user2.getCovid or user2.getBoris or user2.getCurrywurst. It's gonna return the same result. Do we have why guys are you assuming there is a prototypal dependency between user 1 and user 2? Why are these two objects connected at all? If you remember on Monday week, say it again, Lauren. That's correct. They are two separate variables. That's correct. And they don't have any relationship in terms of inheritance. Do you remember, guys? We learned that on Monday. How can we extend the prototype of an object? How can we create a new object that depends on an old one? Object.create, that's correct. What we did on Monday, we did something like that. That's the way we can link these two objects. Actually, that wasn't on Monday, that was last week, right? About prototypal inheritance. That's the way we can link user 1 and user 2. So user 2 depends on user 1. Yeah. On the prototype chain, we got user 2, then user 1, and then the object prototype. If we do that. But if we don't do that, these two objects are completely independent. They don't share anything. Because of that, do we have, guys? So what is user2.getWelcome gonna return? Undefined. Why undefined? Correct. There is no welcome property in user2, as Lauren said, and also, do we have a method called getWelcome on the object prototype? Probably not, right? And that means that user2.getWelcome is going to return undefined. What happens when you try to do undefined, you call a function out of undefined? That's correct. That's going to throw an error, as you can see, yeah? User2.getWelcome, the error is, hey, user2.getWelcome is not a function, right? So that's why we cannot do that. If we still want to call that function that belongs to get to the user one. However, we want to change the name of the user dynamically on the fly, then we can call the method in that way. This is just a very old technique in JavaScript, guys. This is a very old technique in JavaScript to change the value of lexical this. And even though through your career, in some particular occasions you will need it, that's not something you're gonna deal with often. However, that's not an excuse because companies are gonna ask you a lot about that in a job interview. So then just learn it, master it, guys. Yeah. So, any questions? No? So that's call. And then we got a new method, also part of the function prototype, which is apply. Call and apply, they do literally the same thing. They call the method getWelcome with some arguments, yeah, language and difficulty, and then we can also share the new value of lexical this. So line number 12 and line number 11 are literally the same, obviously with different data. But if I change the data, the functions, the logic is literally the same. Can anyone tell me what the difference is? Correct. The way you pass the arguments. Look, in here, you pass a comma-separated list of arguments. Here, you pass an array. That may sound stupid today, because today we can trivially move from one to the other, right? So For instance, if you got an array, how you transform, guys, an array into a comma-separated list of arguments? Correct. With the spread operator. I mean, we could do something like that, right? You see, that's the same. So today, there is no much point about, there isn't an obvious advantage of using one or the other. However, don't forget something, guys. The rest operator is something new, and these methods were created probably in the 90s, right? So historically speaking, that was much more difficult to transform from one way to the other. Yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference. I've been asking many times, what's the difference between call and apply? And you can't imagine how many times, easily 50% of the time, developers say, one receives a list of arguments and the other one receives an array. I don't remember which one. Guys, that's bullshit. Never say that. Never say that you don't remember. Especially because there is a very basic rule to remember which one uses an array and which one uses a list of arguments. Look, guys, apply A. You see the A, guys? Do you want me to zoom it even more? Apply is an array. Yeah? And then call, it's a comma-separated list of arguments. So just remember that forever. And never say, I don't remember which one was an array and which one was a comma-separated list. Apply, array. Call, comma. Yeah, that's it. It's a coincidence, but we should use coincidence in our favor, right? Any questions about apply versus call? Yeah, of course. Absolutely, Lauren. With apply, you can do, as you said, let arguments equal that, of course, because it's a variable, right? So you can do whatever you want. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, probably cleaner. Yeah, also because you can build a list of arguments on the fly. So for instance, if I am sexy, then arguments.push, hello, I don't know, right? You can definitely play with that idea and then dynamically add arguments. Definitely, yeah. Cool. Anything else, guys? No? All right. So that's call versus apply. And now there is a new friend called bind. Maybe, out of these three, bind is today the most popular one. I'm sure you came across bind at some point. In React, when dealing with classes, I'm sure you have found someone using bind before. So the main difference between call and apply, they are very similar, yeah? So they call a method immediately, regardless of how you pass the arguments. However, bind doesn't call the method. Bind doesn't execute anything. It just saves a reference to the getWelcome function with a particular lexical this. But that's, guys, if I show you that code, yeah, you see that code? If I run that code, that's not gonna run the function. You see? It's binding is saving a reference to the getWelcome function with a new value of lexical this. And because that's a function, yeah, that returns a function, that means I can call it. If you prefer, I can create a new variable called getWelcome with new lexical this, something like that. So I can, for instance, save a reference to the function, and then I can call that. You see? And that's gonna do the same thing, but in 2 steps. So first of all, I bind the function with a new value of lexical this, user2, and eventually I call it. I call the bound function with a bunch of arguments. It's a comma-separated list of arguments. It's not an array. Yeah? CSS beginner. So can anyone tell me, what's that gonna display? Welcome to CSS Beginner 1. I think Lauren is right, as you can see here. Yeah, welcome to CSS Beginner 1. That's pretty much the main difference. So again, bind doesn't call the function. However, it saves a reference, so we can call it afterwards. So can we try to add some breakpoints to see if you understood that? So let me try to add a breakpoint 14, 15, and 4, something like that. Yep, something like that. So now, you see, I got 3 breakpoints, guys. Let's see if it works. And now I'm gonna ask you what's gonna be the execution order. So Lauren said 15, 14, 4. All right, thank you, Lauren. Who else? So that was that Max? All right, Elena, Elijah, Maxim. Maxim? All right, guys, let me ask you something a bit personal. Do you have any plans for Monday? Cancel everything, guys. Cancel any appointments with the doctor. Cancel everything, guys, because you are wrong. And I can't believe you are wrong in the last day of the bootcamp. That doesn't make sense. Why can anyone argue why line number 15 is going to run before line number 14? That's beyond my understanding, guys. JavaScript is read top to bottom. It's like if I create a new variable here, x6, and then y7, and then you told me that line number 15 will run before line number 14. Why? Yeah, but we read JavaScript from top to bottom. Yeah, of course. Line number 4 is going to take longer to run, but just because that's part of a function. So we need to call the function to trigger line number 4. But in between of line number 14 and line number 15, there is no difference. So we are gonna stop on line number 14 first, and then eventually we'll jump to line number 16. Let's see if we can test that. If the debugger wants to work this time. It's very slow, but hopefully it will work eventually. Hello, debugger. I think it's trying to do something, but I'm not sure if it's just very slow. But anyway, until it works. So yeah, definitely. That's going to be the first line for sure, yeah? So we first of all save a binding to the function. Once we got the binding, then pop, we prepare the console log. And then because as part of this console log, we are calling the function, then eventually, pop, we call the get welcome function, yeah? That's the way this is going to work. I don't know why the breakpoints are... Oh, that's a bit strange. Do I need to add them again? All right, let me try again, see if there is any difference. No, I think my laptop is just, it's just not ready for that at the moment. All right, so unfortunately, I cannot show you right now. But I'm going to share the screen with this snippet with you, because I'm sure if you are not streaming or running any heavy task, you'll be able to see the results, yeah? So that's important, guys. It's very important to understand the execution order. And that's why we've been playing this board challenges, yeah? So to give you the chance to practice with that. So again, just to recap, difference between the call, bind, and apply. So whenever you get that question, always try to group, first of all, call and apply, because they are the same. They are the same. Call and apply work in the same way. They invoke the function that you are calling or applying, passing as the first argument the new lexical this, and then the only difference is the second argument. With call, you pass a comma-separated list of arguments. With apply, you pass an array of arguments. Yeah? That's call and apply. And then bind works slightly different. Even the idea is the same, guys. Why you play with call, apply, and bind? Because you want to change lexical this because of whatever reason. Yeah? Because of whatever reason, but you want to change it. Yeah? So with bind, you first of all save a reference to the function that you want to execute, and then eventually you call the function using a comma-separated list of arguments. Oh, look, now the breakpoint is there, right? After 4 minutes. So you see, line number 14, if I play again, line number 15, and then it jumps to line number 4, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah? You get message back. Any questions, guys? Yeah. No, that's the same thing. That's the thing, guys. Remember, when you have a breakpoint, it stops on that line before anything on that line runs. That's why line number 15 runs before line number 4. Because we got a console log, that means we're going to display something. So we will, first of all, stop on line number 15. We stop here, ignoring the content of the line. We stop here. And then once we stop there, we evaluate, all right, what do we want to do? We want to do the console.log, fine. But what do we want to log? We want to log the content of calling that function. That's why after line number 15, we call line number 4 and not on the other way around. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, Lauren. If not, could you please give me an example about something similar that works in a different way? Yeah, but still, why number 15 is going to run before line number 14? That's the part I don't get. Yeah, no, wait. Of course. So the discussion between line number 15 and line number 4 is clear. You first of all check there is a function. That's why you have to stop here, and then you go to line number 4. But you know there is some stuff running beyond that point, right? So what if I got a variable called x equals 5? What's the execution order now? So would you say what 17, 14, and 15? Or 17, 15, and 14, or what would you say here? "17, 14, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Again, guys, the code is read top to bottom, yeah? So if there is a function, we don't read it because the function has to be called, but that's not a function, that is a variable. So if we create a variable, then actually we can even drop a breakpoint on line number 1. So look, we got now breakpoints on lines number 1, 4, 14, 15, and 17. So, and let me add another one. And here, right? Look, how many breakpoints? We got 7 breakpoints. So can anyone tell me what the execution order is going to be? So, sorry, Lawrence, sorry. You need to start again, I'm afraid. So, no. What? Yeah, sorry. Yeah. What do you think, guys? Yeah, that's correct. That's absolutely correct. You see, we start reading the snippet top to bottom, right? So what's the first thing we find? It's an object. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. So then, we move to the next thing. What's the next thing we got? It's a user. Fantastic. Here we are. And then what's the next thing? Another variable. Okay, fine. What's the next thing? Another variable. Fine. What's the next thing? Another variable. Fine. What's the next thing? Console.log. Fantastic. I got a function. Let's call it. So now we go to line number 4. That's correct. What happened, guys, if I got a function called welcome here in the middle somewhere? Welcome to return, welcome to JavaScript. And then somewhere, because of any dodgy reason, I want to do another console.log here, and I want to call that function. So, and of course, I got a couple of breakpoints. So now the obvious question, and I will give you 20 seconds to think about it, is what the execution order is going to be. Elena, 1. "1, 11, 18, Mm-hmm. Interesting. Thank you, Elena. What do you think, guys? Well, I did. I'm not opinionated. That's absolutely right, Elena. You're absolutely right. Yeah. You see, guys, it's not that complicated. The rule is pretty simple. Generally speaking, there are some exceptions, but the rule is simple. We start reading the snippet top to bottom. So, first thing, line number one, yes, this is part of a function, so that's not gonna run until we call the function. Line number 8, is line number 8 gonna run right after line number 1? Hello? Right after 1, or is it gonna be later on? Later on, because that's a function, so we need to call the function. If we never call the welcome function, line number 8 will never run, right? So that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen straight away. So we keep moving down. All right, another object, yes, we assign the value to the object, whatever it is, line number 11, as Elena said. What else? 18, another variable, fine. 19, another variable, fine. 20, and then on line number 20, suddenly, oh, we need to call a function, fantastic. So, but we straight away go to line number 8. Pop. Yeah, and then we come back. Another variable, fine. Line number 22, and on line number 22, we realize that we need to call another function, and because we have to call another function, so then we'll end up on line number 4, and then we'll just display that message. All right, that may take ages to run, so I don't wanna waste your productivity. But do you have any questions? Yes, that's the idea, guys. It goes without saying that you should play with breakpoints all the time, because that will give you a lot of confidence. Yeah. If you understand what the execution order is, it's going to be much easier to deal with problems. Oh, why the value of the variable name is Peter instead of Anne? That's maybe because the flow went in through a particular path. But if you are unable to predict what that path is going to be, then it's going to be much harder to understand why the code doesn't work unexpected. Anything else? No? Oh, look at the breakpoint. Oh, finally, let's run it. All right, so let's run this and then let's call it a day. So line number 1, line number 11. You see, it didn't stop on line number 8 at all. And then 18, 19, 20, and then look, now it's gonna jump to line number 8. Pop, you see, line number 8, and then it should go to line number 21. Here you go, 22, and finally we'll jump to line number 4. So yeah, Elena was essentially right, long story short. All right, guys, I have shared the snippet with you on Slack earlier on. Apologies again for all the problems we had today. If you got any questions, you know where I am. Thank you very much, and see you later.